Another top story tonight involves the President of the United States reportedly threatening to retaliate against national security veterans because they criticized him. This is not normal, and we should note it is being done in plain sight today. The White House admitting it has plans to revoke security clearances based on what certain people have said about democracy, politics, and Trump, which of course would be their First Amendment right. Here is White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders depicting the exercise of those free speech rights as, quote, politicizing public service.
The president is threatening to punish Brennan and Comey and Clapper for saying things about him that he doesn't like. Is that presidential?
The president is exploring these mechanisms to remove security clearance because they've politicized and in some cases actually monetized their public service and their security clearances.
They're free speech he doesn't like, and he wants to punish them for it.
No, I think you are creating your own story there.
Former Intel Chief James Clapper responding today.
I think this is just a very, very petty thing to do. I think it's a terrible precedent, and it's a very sad commentary. And it's an abuse of the system.
Key word there is abuse. You have an intelligence chief saying President Trump is abusing his power over classified information to basically punish dissent, which of course builds on Donald Trump's very unprecedented public attacks on many former officials.
If you look at Clapper, he sort of admitted that they had spies in the campaign. I think James Comey's got a lot of problems. If you look at what he did, if you look at all of the lies, the tremendous lies, I think James Comey's got a lot of problems.
It's been terrible. You look at Brennan, you look at Clapper, you look at Hayden, you look at Comey, you look at McCabe. Take a look at all of the shenanigans that have gone on. Very hard to have confidence in that group. I have no confidence in a guy like Brennan. I think he's a total lowlife. I have no confidence in Clapper.
Here are 6 of the former national security officials the White House is targeting. There are intelligence and FBI officials, plus former CIA Director Brennan, who, full disclosure, is now an analyst for NBC News. But the most important thing here that those people may have in common is they are all witnesses against the president in an open criminal probe. Comey, McCabe, and Brennan, for example, involved in critical Russia meetings during Donald Trump's transition. So this move may actually be even worse than potentially punishing them for what they have said. This may be an attempt out in the open to discredit them over what they saw and what they could potentially tell prosecutors. I'm joined now by Michael Steele, a former RNC chair, and David Priest, former CIA intelligence officer, who has given Bob Mueller the morning intelligence briefing and is the author of the President's Book of Secrets. David, is this appropriate?
It's not appropriate, and it's not historically precedented because we don't have examples of former officials in the national security arena being attacked by removing security clearances so that they can't continue to talk to their old colleagues about classified matters. I can think of only one example, and that was the example of Sandy Berger, who was the national security advisor back for Bill Clinton. And he had a 3-year suspension of his security clearance, but that was for a very specific act. He was caught removing materials from the National Archives when he was going over them for the 9/11 Commission, and then he lied to investigators about what he did with those documents he removed.
Right. Didn't he put, like, those documents in his socks or something?
It was rumored that he put them in his socks and underwear. Later on, it came out it was his suit pocket. But either way, he's smuggling documents out. So there is a similarity there, which is his security clearance was removed, and he was unable to do things in classified spaces.
Well, and
everything else is different in this case.
Michael Steele will tell you the only thing that should go in the suit pocket when you're coming out of the archives is a nice, well-placed hanky like the one you have today,
That's
sir.
right, my friend. You got it, baby.
Now, let me stipulate this, Michael. There are people who've left government that are being perfectly political in their remarks. Take a look at some of James Comey's latest electoral advice. He says Democrats don't lose your mind and rush to the socialist left. All people who believe in this country's values must vote for Democrats this fall. I'll tell you, Michael, I think that strikes me as a rather political and absurd statement. People have all kinds of values and make up their own mind about their vote. So let's stipulate that James Comey is firing off like he's in a nice blog comment section. But certainly whether one agrees with that or not, it shouldn't be grounds for a security clearance. Several of these officials say they don't have clearances to be revoked right now, that the White House didn't even do its homework. But what do you think?
Well, unless there's a regulation or some guideline for former individuals at that position that they cannot participate in public discourse because they have access to classified information, you're talking about individuals and their free speech rights. You may not like what Mr. Comey says or Mr. Clapper or anyone else has to say, but that doesn't, just because they served as a former DNI or a former national security advisor or whatever, doesn't preclude their free speech rights once they leave that position. It has nothing to do with their responsibilities under current law and regulation to be a part of that network of individuals who get continued classified briefings. So this boils down to one simple thing. The president is pissed because these folks are out there talking smack about what he's doing at the White House. He doesn't like it. He can't strike at them because they don't work for him. So he can do the one thing, go at the one nexus they have to his administration, if you will, and that is that they still get these classified briefings.
Right. I think that makes perfect sense, Michael, what you're saying. And it goes to the fact that this seems to be at times a very emotional president who is breaking the rules and doing things that experts say undermine national security because there's something that, as you put it, makes him upset. He's also reportedly upset about a current intelligence professional who said, I think, what was on his mind. I don't think he was saying anything that wasn't true at the time, but the White House, as you know, reportedly very upset over Mr. Coates' comments here. Take a look.
I do want to say we have some breaking news. The White House has announced on Twitter that Vladimir Putin is coming to the White House in the fall.
Say that again?
Vladimir Putin coming
Did I
to
hear
the...
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be special.
Now, Coates says, my admittedly awkward response in no way meant to be disrespectful or criticize the actions of the president. All awkward laughter aside, Michael, this country's gone to war over the misuse and politicization of intelligence or pressure on the intelligence agencies to come up with results to please the president. So isn't this bad?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the fact that you have, someone of his stature not involved in the conversation, he's getting from a reporter that the president has made a decision that he should be involved in. What kind of reaction do you expect him to have? If he's going to sit there and pretend that he knows that this was about to take place with Putin, and then when folks like you and others do their job and find out, well, no, you didn't know, then he's caught in a lie. So he did the right thing. Now he's got to walk it back. But it's still, to your point, Ari, it goes to the underlying truth of this administration. The pressure that you're seeing now put on, special access to the White House through security briefings or pushing back on the DNI has to do with the pressure that's coming from the investigation by Robert Mueller. This thing is getting tighter. The president is reacting and being very reactive to it in a way that I think he's showing a lot more than he probably would want to otherwise.
Ari, let me build on something Michael said, which is on the Dan Coates point. Dan Coates is an exemplary human being. He's one of the nicest people that I've met, and in fact, in his confirmation hearings to be DNI, the main objection raised to him being DNI was, are you going to be tough enough to bang heads together to get things done in the intel community? Because it was admittedly awkward on stage is not the fault of Dan Coates. That's the fault of the White House, which let him go onto a stage in a live event without even telling him not only what had gone on in the Helsinki meeting, which he said he had not been informed about, but without telling him that there was going to be this policy announcement about the visit. All of the awkwardness should be on the part of the White House officials that put him in that position rather than on Dan Coates himself.
You make a great point about the projection. He didn't play himself. He was played by his bosses who didn't do him the basic professional process of mentioning, as you say, a giant intelligence matter that was going to be announced. David Priest, Michael Steele, thank you both. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.